Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of dPod. And we're going to continue our theme of having various couples on. And today we have the Noguchis.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. What was that?
I don't know. I feel like it warranted a yeah. No?
Noguchi, like
I don't know. The way he said
what
it.
does that have to do with manliness? I
No,
guess?
No, it's just the way I said it, I guess.
Oh, well, you said
The
it.
Noguchis. Like
Let's
that.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Anyways, yeah.
You know, someone recently said that I sound nice on dPod. Do you think that's the case?
I feel like they're implying something else.
Anyways, all right. So we have Genji and Hyuna on, and so just wanted to start off like we did with the Oyebolu's last week, and have them do the Newlywed Game. All right, we're gonna do the Newlywed Game. We're gonna ask you a random question. So I mean, you know, because we don't have a lot of time here, so I'm gonna just ask about a specific person. Okay, so I'll be like, like Genji, blah, blah, and then you just have to 3, 2, 1, and you both have to just answer
I'm
to the mic.
so bad at
okay,
this. I'm a bad wife.
all right, let's do this. Okay, what is Hyuna's least favorite vegetable? 3, 2, 1.
Broccoli.
Artichoke?
Artichoke
I
is
like
pretty.
broccoli.
Artichoke's pretty gross. Yeah,
Artichoke, I've never, no. Sorry.
never liked it.
No, I've never.
Okay. What is Genji's favorite vegetable?
Oh, I know.
3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Kongshin chai. Oh, shoot.
P-tip? Kong? What is that?
It's, wait.
Oh,
Did
yeah,
you
you're
like
right.
it?
You're right. No, she's right.
That's-
She knows
I
me
know
better
him
than
better
I
than
know
he
me.
knows.
Oh, that's
himself.
that's nice. What is that?
It's like a Chinese vegetable.
Oh, Chinese vegetable. Nice.
yeah,
All
Chinese
right.
vegetable.
It's
Awesome.
empty heart vegetable.
Oh.
Because the middle is empty.
Are you being like emo? Like empty
Yeah,
heart?
I feel sad every time I eat it. Crunch,
Okay.
crunch.
All right.
Anyway, sorry.
All right. If Hyuna could eat one fast food chain forever, which one would it be? If she could only eat that. 3, 2, 1.
Culver's, yeah.
Oh wow! Okay. Hey, these questions are harder than the ones that I gave to Torfin Diaz. So, okay. So, who takes longer to get ready in the morning? 3, 2, 1.
Hyuna.
Oh.
What?
Oh, wait.
Really?
Oh, morning, yes.
Morning.
Morning, yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. All right. I was about to get weirded out. Okay. What about who controls the thermostat? 3.
Oh, we don't have a thermostat.
Oh, you don't have a thermostat.
UBC is central
that's
heating.
right. Oh, my bad. The central heating, as in like the building controls
The building,
it, right?
yes.
Okay. A bad question. All right. What was Genji wearing on your guys' first date?
Oh, I remember. So he was wearing.
No, you have to say it at the same time. Say what
You don't
color.
remember?
Let's say what color top and what color
Oh
bottom.
my gosh.
Okay, just say what color top.
okay.
3, 2, 1.
Blue.
White.
It was blue.
We talked about this. I have no idea.
I remember everything.
What?
I
I
remember
was
what
wondering
you
what
were
Oh my,
wearing.
she remembers everything.
But she
remember-
remembers all of it.
I remember you were wearing a blue sweater. It was a knitted blue sweater. And you were wearing black jeans. And you were wearing your black shoes, like the nice ones. and then when we were walking, you got hot. So then you took off the blue sweater and you were wearing a black t-shirt. I remember everything.
So you were not wearing white at all.
I just remember we had a good time.
Genji was just too nervous to notice anything, and at the end of it, he was like, "I think that was a good time." All right, last question. Who, between the two of you, who's more likely to survive a zombie apocalypse?
Oh,
3, 2, 1.
Genji.
Okay.
I would just
Why is
die.
that? Oh, you would just die.
I would
Why?
just be so sad and die.
Why would you be so sad?
Or I would be.
You would not go into
'cause I
like
can't-
fierce competitive mode.
And then I would die.
Oh.
Like I would try to fight the zombies and die, or hide and die.
Okay.
I won't have a strategy.
You're
is the
really
point.
fixated on dying here. All right. So, all right. Well, with that attitude, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you guys are right. Yeah, Genji will survive. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just make sure I go with Genji then. All right. So then kind of just zooming out, out of the Newlywed Game and just kind of thinking about your guys' relationship. You guys have been married, 2.5 years now?
Yep.
And you're sort of like about to come out of that newlywed phase and, kind of have real patterns and real wisdom about marriage. Yeah. So what's something that you've learned about yourself or the other person through marriage that surprised you?
I learned that I'm a very irritable person through marriage.
Okay.
And I think people have told me that. Like my brother has told me that before in high school. And I think I guess I didn't take that to heart maybe. And in the beginning, especially like dating and marriage, I feel like I wasn't irritable, obviously, because, you know, we have our little honeymoon phase and stuff. But then, yeah, I get really annoyed at a lot of things. And I guess coupled with that, learning about myself, I learned that Genji's very patient. So I'm very lucky. But I also can't rely on that too much because I know that one day he could break and just explode. So
And all
that's
patience
what I've
will
heard.
run out.
So yeah. But I haven't experienced that yet because Genji is so patient. But
Wow,
I have
that's
heard
high
that.
praise right there.
I have heard that. Yeah, some of the older sisters have told me. Yeah, he thinks you're cute right now, but it's gonna go away real soon.
Because it's still 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wait until that 3-year mark happens
Oh,
and just
no.
overnight, boom.
Oh no.
Few more months.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, no, that's
what-
good. No, I appreciate you sharing that. You know, like, you know, and it's like, oh man, how could you? Wait, do you actually experience her as being irritable?
Yes.
Okay. No, just
Like,
curious. So the patience requires a little bit of effort, right?
Yeah.
It's not like accidental.
I don't think so. Oh, I think generally like my demeanor is more like, okay, she's probably going through something.
Yeah.
But there's effort. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so so you know, I like that you said something like this because I think people feel like people maybe think, I don't know what people think about marriage sometimes. I kind of forgot what it's like to be single. But you kind of have like this rosy view of marriage, or like you just think like everything's supposed to be smooth or whatever, but no, like you get like annoyed at each other, right? Like it's kind of strange, right? And if you're the kind of person, like you were saying, if you're the kind of person who like was irritable towards your brother in the past or something like that, like likelihood that you will do that to your spouse is quite high actually. So, you know, one of the advices we give, right, is like, you know, however you treat your friends and your roommates right now, like that's probably like all those relational dynamics will come out again, like when you're married, right? So it's not that much different. So yeah, that's interesting. What about for you?
Yeah, I learned that I'm a control freak, and often that comes out through nagging, and I'm a naggy husband. And,
Oh, you're
and
naggy husband.
I need to like rein that in. Yeah, but it comes out through my tongue. Hyuna's nodding furiously over here.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's true.
Yeah. You know, last week Toph was the one that kept nodding. This week it's Hyuna is the one that keeps nodding here.
I wonder why.
Well, you know, I'm both irritable and a control freak. So I'm just both of you guys. So my wife is amazing. She puts up with a lot, I think. Oh man. Yeah. That just reminded me, like, that's your toxic, is that your toxic personality test?
Oh yeah.
There's that fun test that people have done, toxic personality test. What are you, Hyuna?
A slacker.
Oh, slacker. Yeah. I'm also a control freak. So
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a total of 30, like the number
30 points that you can get. Yeah.
I'm 20.
Wow.
you're control
20 points went toward a
Amazing.
control freak out of like 5 or 6 categories, right?
Yeah.
I forget what the other ones are. It's like
Karen,
one of them's a Karen.
con artist, mansplainer,
Explainer.
Should we
Debbie
na-
Downer.
Debbie Downer, yeah.
Should we name
Llama.
one of our staff for each of them, like just to out people? Like,
Sure.
You go first.
wow, I see what you did there. That was amazing. Okay, well, I don't think we had any con artists on our team.
No, we don't. I don't think.
Amy was a con artist.
Oh, Amy was, but she's now in Purdue.
She's now in Purdue.
Yeah, Amy Liu was a con artist.
Oh, I didn't know.
We don't have any con artists.
Another slacker is Agape.
Yes.
Yeah, because you and Agape are basically the same person.
Apparently.
Yeah, and then mansplainer. I remember one of the mansplainers was Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Percy.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I remember that Luke Walker's not one of our staff, but he was here when we were doing the test.
He was? Oh, yeah.
Or like, yeah, and I remember he was a Karen.
Really?
Yeah, we all thought he would be a mansplainer.
Yeah.
But he was a Karen.
Dude, you're totally
Oh my gosh.
totally
that's
amazing.
Sorry, we're just like totally trashing
Yeah,
people
we're-
right
yeah.
now on the air. Anyways, wait, did we cover all the? Oh, Debbie Downer.
Toph.
Toph.
Toph and Viv.
Toph and
It's
Viv.
the
Yeah, type
type
sixes.
sixes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Always like seeing what could possibly go wrong with the situation. But it's because they want to protect the people they love.
Yeah.
That's the heart behind it at
Yeah.
least. Anyways, all right, that was a random side quest there. Okay, so here's another question. Okay, so how do your personalities complement or clash with each other?
Well, one way they clash, as we just discussed, is Hyuna likes to play and I like to work.
That
So
is
you're a
true.
control freak manifests in like working.
Working,
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
things
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
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 It's kind of like it's almost like a fear response in a way. Like when I have a lot of things to do, I feel like unsettled in my soul, and I'm like, I must get these things done. And then when I get them done, I feel peace, because it's all done, you know. But then when I get home, like Hyuna's like, oh, let's play.
That's not literally what I said.
No, but that's how she acts. She wants fun.
That's
She
true.
wants to have fun.
That's kind of funny.
But I feel like it also complements, right? Like,
Yeah,
because
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
because then because you would work all night if I wasn't there, and I would play all night if you weren't there. So I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, that's a good balance.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is good actually.
Yeah.
It's healthy for me to not just work. Yeah.
You don't sound very convinced, but okay. It's like you're trying to convince yourself right now.
I'll take it on faith.
Yeah. I actually remember early on in your guys' marriage having a conversation with you guys, and it was something to the effect of, well, I don't know maybe I just talked to Genji about it. I forget, but it was something about when you guys are working from home together, how like Hyuna would keep like starting conversation or keep talking to Genji,
Yeah.
and like you're trying to focus. You're like in the trying to do deep work, trying to solve this like bug or a feature that you're developing for work, and you keep like getting your like train of thought interrupted by your wife, and then I think you were starting to get annoyed.
Yeah.
I was like, have you brought it up? Like, you should just like tell her like you need to focus.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
yeah.
And then did he talk to you about
Yeah.
it?
No, he didn't talk to me about it.
No.
But he just started saying, I'm going to focus now.
Oh.
And then I was like,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
That's what I told you to do.
That's what we had decided.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you had never expressed that you have this
Yeah.
need to focus.
yeah.
And so then was that enough of a signal for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good since.
Okay.
Yeah. And then now we sit slightly more apart from each other, so I can't like really bother him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, slightly, like an extra foot.
Yeah. But it's out of reach, basically. I can't like.
Yeah.
Well, you were like tapping his shoulder. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Because
man.
you need to get your attention, when I'm talking
wow.
to you. So you should.
Because he was working hard, so you had to keep tapping. Anyways.
I do this to everyone, though. I shouldn't. I was doing that to Jeanette today. She was too nice, so I just had to shut up.
Yeah. I mean, if you do it for weeks on end, then I'm sure she would stop inviting you over to her workplace then. So anyways, yeah. So this is just we're just doing this partially so that, just an example of the, real kind of advice, and just, it's not a serious issue, obviously, that happened, but sometimes you just need some outside perspective. Like, hey, you should just like tell your wife, talk about it, and then, once you do, you're good. Yeah. So, a lot of the working things out is all about communication. So,
Yeah.
all right. So my final question is this. What is something you wish you had done more of while you were single? Because once you're married, man, right? I mean, that's how it should be, at least, right? Like, it's commitment for life. But singleness is like a really precious time that you have. Like, what's something you wish you had done more of while you were still single? How old were you guys when you guys got married?
26, I think.
You were 26?
I think I was
You're
26.
25. No.
I was 25? 2022. 25.
Yeah, 25. I was
25.
26.
Okay.
25, 26.
Yeah. So, 25, 26 years of singlehood. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you would do differently if you could do it over again?
Yeah, for me, I think my answer is pretty easy. I would have bought a lot more camera gear before I got married.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's so
I'm just
Wait,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's
joking.
hilarious.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's a joke. That's actually kind of a running joke amongst photographers
Really?
At our church, because like, and it speaks to something actually. So some people might not understand this, but I'm thinking you're joking. I'm actually making a serious point out of it. But so I actually believe I think at our church we teach that, you know, when you get married, you become one flesh, like you become one unit, and that means you should share everything, right? And I know that there's this teaching within the world and kind of worldly wisdom that says, oh, you should still keep a separate bank account, you should still manage your separate finances, like you know, just in case, but just in case what, right? And I remember like hearing that, like some people I knew older than me giving me that advice, and I actually got upset at them. I was like, just in case what? Like, just in case what? Like, tell me just in case what? Right? Because they're essentially saying, well, you might get a divorce. 50% of marriages ended within 3 years, whatever, right? So, but as a Christian, I'm like not okay with that. You know, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we should hope that every marriage that we do under God's authority is going to last forever. So what are we talking about here, right? And so yeah, so this sense of shared. So anyway, so then the joke is, you know, your finances get shared afterwards. So then if you're gonna make any big purchases, you need to make it now. Yeah. And so then like the photographer, I've heard that advice from people like, hey, you're getting married, right? Make sure you buy all your camera equipment.
Oh
now.
my God. That is so funny.
Yeah, now there's now before a second person has a say.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. So what's your real one?
What's
your real one?
Advice.
Yeah, what's your real one? Yeah.
But if you're a photographer, you know, no, I'm just kidding. My real advice is I think I would have just spent more time with the other guys, and I would have just made memories with the other guys as much as I could. I think,
and you didn't because you were working.
Exactly. Actually, yeah. I was like, I have so many things to do. I gotta finish this. And if you do that, that's like too fleshly. So that must be like not as good as me being productive and spending my time. Yeah. But like the reality of being married and being married is awesome. Like I really like, you know, spending time with my wife, but then maybe a little too much, but when you're married, you just don't have as much time with the other guys, you know, because your evenings are just largely spent with your wife. So then a lot of the evening times, which if you're single and you're living with other guys, then you spend a lot of time with those guys and you get to rub lives with them. You get to go close with them. And you just practically don't have that time when you get married. So as a single person, you get a lot more time with your friends. And so that's a perfect time to get close with them because when you get married, you actually need those relationships. You can't just you can't put all your get all your relational energy from your wife. That's just too much to ask of from one person. So then you need other guys to draw strength from. So then I wish I had done more work before I had gotten married to build those relationships so that I could draw more strength from those people after I got married. Yeah. That's my answer.
Yeah, I like what you mentioned within your answer, which is that we're not meant to get our relational fill, our emotional support from this one person. I think that's one of the biggest lies that I hear, and it's not even like said nowadays. I think it's just assumed, right? I think because that's how like Disney and movies kind of portray happiness, which is like, you know, you're supposed to get it from this significant other. Right. And obviously like that's huge. Right. But I just think that's not how God designed us. Like God designed us to live in community, receiving support, not just from your spouse, but from all your same gender friends. Right. Like all the people, brothers and sisters around you who can meet various relational needs that you have. Right. So, yeah, I think that's super important. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What would you have done differently when you were single?
I think I would have developed better character, like work on, like becoming someone who can work hard and be honest about things I'm going through and things like that. Because I think like much of my life, I think I've relied a lot on like my charm, or not that I'm like super charming, but like, you know, like being able to talk my way out of hard things, or like trusting like, oh yeah, like I can get away with this, and different things like that. And I see like now that the honeymoon phase is kind of wearing off, it's like kind of annoying, kind of a burden. I could really lead my spouse astray if I keep living like this. So yeah, work on your character. I think I would have worked on my character a lot more. Yeah.
And so by character, like, what do you mean?
Working hard.
Okay.
And
So it's becoming a control.
Having integrity,
control
being
freak.
honest.
Becoming more of a control freak.
Or less of a slacker probably is the word.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. And in the, earlier you were kind of like sheepishly calling yourself charming. But so it's interesting, right? Because you're a self-identified slacker. But you went to UCLA, you got a master's degree from Chicago. Like, it's like, like you did well, right? So here's the thing, like actually people can get pretty far by just being good with people. And I think that given everything, like Hyuna's pretty good with people. Like, you have pretty high EQ. I think you make people feel comfortable. Like, so that's interesting because you can do that. You can sort of, if I put it in the most negative way, like you sort of like weasel your way out of like tough situations. Cause like, at least like people like you, but then you didn't like get it done, but people like feel bad about like giving you a hard time or something like that. Right. So if I kind of painted in a bad light, and so then I could see how, because of that, then maybe you didn't have a chance or you weren't forced to like really work on just working hard and delivering. Right. Whereas, Genji's just not a charming person at all. So no, just kidding. I mean, he went to like Stuyvesant you went to Stuyvesant, right? Yeah. Right. And just, so we know his whole background, but, I think that's a really interesting insight. And I think it's really important because it will serve you well. Like in the end, like how do we love our spouse? And one of the big ways is just through physically serving and just helping each other out and be willing to work and be humble in that way. Right. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing that. Thank you for sharing vulnerably. So, I wanted to move on to talking about this past year. So, as I have different couples on, I wanted to kind of dig into, like each of your, like how God's been working in your life, right? Like, so I'm just curious, like, as you think about the past year, like how has, like through ministry, through life, what's God been showing you? What's sort of been top of mind as you think about this past year?
Something I've been thinking about with ministry is, this past year, I think Genji and I had to take on various responsibilities that we haven't had to, like
G Live?
Oh yeah,
not
good
G
news.
Live.
Yeah,
what am I talking about? Good news skit.
Or I mean, even going back, just various things, and I think I learned that ministry is just a lot of hard work. And I think there was a point last year where I was starting to feel kind of like not frustrated, like frustrated about it. Like
when is this going to end?
Yeah. Man, I think it kind of ties back to like the fact that I'm a slacker and I don't want to work hard. Like everything in my temperament doesn't like to work hard, but then suddenly there's so many things to do and think about and plan for. And I think that was something that I wrestled with, I guess, like, I wish it could be easier. Like, I wish I could just get a break. Like, I'm not asking for less. I just want a break or like various things like that. And,
so talking about last year, so what were all the responsibilities that you had that made you feel that way?
I think like, mentoring the subs, like the upperclassmen, being part of like the voyage crew, like planning for those things and helping some people like lead course 101s.
So this is from last school year, right?
Last school year, yeah. And then this year there's good news.
I guess tech and sound responsibilities.
Yeah, tech and sound. I think this was the year where I was like officially sound lead. And I was like, oh man, I was hoping Genji would rescue me from all my sound responsibilities.
But now he's
I know. I was like, oh darn it. Like, so I think that's just like my, laziness, and my desire to just, what is that called? Autopilot.
So what do you think is, so I'm curious because you're saying that you were surprised or like you learned that ministry requires work. So what do you think, like what was your assumptions about ministry before, or like what was your picture of ministry such that that's the lesson? Like I'm curious, because I could see that being like, oh, like ministry is hard work. Like, oh, okay. Like, so anyways, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes
sense. Come to mind. Yeah.
Maybe it's because like in theory, I knew ministry is hard work, but actually doing it is very different. because I never really had to work very hard for school or even for grad school. So then suddenly it's like, oh, actually doing it is hard. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah. Well, what is the work that you find hard? Maybe that's another way to put it, because if ministry is just like, let's say someone's picture of ministry as well, like, let's say, new college students just show up at our doors and I just need to buy them some boba and take them to Chinatown and they'll be super happy and thankful for me. Then like people are like, well, what's the work involved in that? Like that sounds fun. That sounds great. Or like, what if ministry is just going to play basketball at Ratner 4 days a week and just hanging out with some bros and then going to gyms afterward? That sounds great. Actually, that sounds super fun. So like, what is the work? Like, so I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, people maybe have a certain picture of ministry, or maybe you had a certain picture of ministry, and that didn't match up with what you actually had to do, what was involved in the ministry.
Yeah, I think. Well, my conception of ministry was very kind of like what you were describing, with like the fun, like hanging out with people, talking to them, like them appreciating you, whatever, like, and them making spiritual progress and you being really encouraged and different things like that. But I think the work involved, I guess, specifically with the things that we had to do, was like a lot of the work involved was like event related. So then it's like planning for, like, for example, for Good News, like planning for the practice times, like leading those times and casting and like delegating work and various things like that. So everything
from props to mics to room reservations and like a lot of the logistical work behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, logistical work.
So then my question is, why? So that sounds miserable, actually. So I really like the picture, actually, of just playing basketball and eating gyms and just having boba and like just hanging out and playing board games. Like, why can't we just do that? And that could be a legitimate question. Like, maybe we should just do more of that. And why are we doing these events that require so much work? Gina's like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
I was just looking at DP.
Yeah, like, yeah, DP, answer that. I'm not going to rescue you.
No. Well, because like going with the Good News example, it's like, it's a very, like, the production itself is a very attractive and compelling way to share the gospel, perhaps in a, like, it could reach an audience that maybe we haven't been able to before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but then like, to have that level of production just requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's just another way of sharing the gospel.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
We should be doing those things.
Yeah. So there's ministry in terms of like the one-on-one small group ministry where you're directly just investing into people, loving people. And obviously we all need to be involved in that. Right. And then there's this thing that we do that not just our church does, like a lot of church. Like, why do churches spend so much time? Like, there was a generation of mega churches that put all of their effort into putting Sunday on. Right. And it's like a Sunday service that really you should pay like $200 to attend, because it's like concert level music and like, so it's like, dude, it's kind of crazy like how much work goes into that. I mean, we don't necessarily believe in that model, but that's just an example. But so, but things like that where, well, there are certain things that we can do one-on-one in small group. There's other things that we can't, like if we put on an event like Good News, or like one of the common events that we've done, like Boba Social in downtown, right? Like, hey, like we're going to purchase 50 Bobas at this shop and we're all going to go flyer so that people find out about it. And then we get like 80 people to show up and we get to meet 80 people, right? Like that it's not something that a single person can do, right? And so there's gains, there's scale involved when you coordinate work together. And that's ministry. Like that enables us then. So, because, like the example of like these people you're going to hang out, these wonderful college students you're going to hang out with, like how are you going to find those people though, right? Like it assumes that you have those people. Well, we need to find them somehow. And from our experience, one of the really good ways to do that is to put on various kinds of events. And that kind of thing requires work, right? So yeah, anyways, just, yeah, it's interesting. I just wanted to explore it a little bit since you brought it up. So yeah, thanks. All right. Genji, what about you?
Can you run me the prompt one more time?
I forgot
I
too.
didn't finish my point though.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
You stopped me right at ministry is hard. Why is ministry hard?
Yeah. Let's go back to Hyuna because I cut her off earlier. I do this to my wife all the time actually. So I'm sorry. All right, go for it. What was the rest of your point? And what was the prompt?
It was what have you learned from the past
Oh, right,
year?
right,
What has
right,
God
right,
taught you
right.
from the past year?
That's right. That's
in like
right.
ministry and
That's
your
where
personal
we're at
life.
right now. Yeah.
So ministry is hard. That was
Yeah.
the first part of it. But I think I just learned that there is a lot of like opportunity to give thanks to God, like while doing ministry, while doing something hard. I think this year, like a passage that came to me a lot is Matthew 25, the parable of the talents, where the master goes to, the faithful stewards and says, you have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of the master, joy of your master. And I think like a lot of this year was kind of like, man, now I'm set over much. Like, dang, what does he mean by joy? This is not joyful. I think I felt that a lot, like, I don't want much. I just like the little and I'm just happy I did my job. Like I want to move on. But I think like, it's kind of crazy. Like even with my like slightly grumbling and like unwilling attitude, like God has shown me that there is a lot of joy in doing his work. And that was not expected. I think even with something like Good News, for example, I think for like a large majority of it, I was just kind of stressed and kind of feeling like, I wish someone would do the work for me. But I think through that, like being able to put on a big production like that, having people from like UIUC and Purdue come and help us, and like even all of our team, like they did all the parts that I asked them to do, and it's like so amazing. And and it's like a different level of encouragement that I felt, like kind of being more involved in the logistics versus like just being one of the staff that was doing it. So different things like that. Like there's so much joy. There's so much joy in like seeing our students get really excited to share the gospel, or like invite their friends, and like taking steps of faith, like to share, like about the Good News event, like even, like asking their professors about like sharing that during their lectures and different things like that. There's just so much. And I think I would not have been able to experience all that if I had stopped at like, gosh, why did God set me over much, quote unquote? Like, I don't want to do it, you know? So I think that's something that I've learned like this year. So yeah, I think, I'm still lazy. I still have the tendency, but I'm learning like little by little, I guess. Yeah.
No, I was really proud of you guys for taking on, I think it was like December when during one of our team meetings, we were like, all right, and it's going to be Genji and Hyuna leading the Good News. And everyone's like, ha, ha, ha. Wait, are you serious right now?
Right.
That's
One of those people saying that.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I'm so thankful that they would entrust this to us, but dang it.
Yeah, but I was proud of you guys because I think you leaned into it. And, I'm sure, you felt the friction along the way internally, but I felt like you guys worked hard and, it all came together. So, yeah. And it's funny because, you're saying like, oh, I feel like I'm being put over much. But from my perspective, I think it's always like the much then becomes the little, right? And then you realize, oh, that thing was the little that God needed to see so that next year's much comes, right? Like, or 10 years from now, 30 years from now, right? I think about how, this just always blows my mind. Like just learning about how Tim Keller's, who passed away recently, right? But he didn't start writing his first book until he was in like his late 50s. And so in the last like 15 years of his life, that's when all of his books that I benefited so much from, and not just me, but like all of Christendom, like it's like he was faithful over little for many, many years and then much, right? So that's just an example of like how this, and you just have to take the next step of faith, and those who are willing to do the work, one of our favorite stories, right? The John 2 wedding at Cana, the servants who filled the water jugs, and those things are like hundreds of gallons. And so that's literally a lot of work. That's hard work, but they're the ones who understood, oh, Jesus just did something incredible. because that was water. That was water. That wasn't wine. You know, like so the people who get to do the work, they get to join in the joy of the master in that kind of way. So yeah. All right. Genji, what about you?
Yeah, I think actually I find that I resonate with Hyuna a good bit, but even though like one would think I'm control freak, I'm like I just like working, and Hyuna's a slacker. But I think the way that the sort of control freak often comes out is actually I just like having my little kingdom where I can control all of it, and I can tinker with all the parts, and it's restricted to this little space. And I think that's partially why I like, I don't know, techie things and sound and making coffee, because it's all, I can control all these little variables. But ministry, I think, has been challenging that desire, that part of me that wants to just have control over this little piece of things. I think one example of this was actually Filter of Hope, when we went on that trip. And
oh yeah, you guys just got back from that.
Yeah. We just got back like a few days ago, and when we went, I think I just had this expectation of what was going to happen. And we had gone last year. Well, I mean, last year's was a different story. But anyways, I had this expectation of going, and, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to give filters to some families, and some of them are going to become Christian, and some of them we're going to have to wrestle with, and then we'll come back, and then we'll have a fun day at the end of the week, and that's it. But when we went, like, I think something I was really challenged by was Agape and Marie, and they just have way more heart for people. They had heart for not just the families who were visiting, but our translators and even the other team that was going to stay in the same villa with us. They had a lot of flight issues. Their flight got canceled. And they had a lot of issues. I think they had to wait in the airport. Someone was on the phone for like 6 hours with American Airlines trying to figure that out. And
on the way there?
I think they got to the airport. Like they were at that airport and they realized it was canceled.
And with all their kids.
All their kids.
Like the 8 to 17-year-old, that range.
I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So then I think they really wanted to just like bless them, say like, hey, we're on the same team with you guys. Like we're partners in the gospel together, and they wanted to just show some care. And the way that ended up was happening was they asked if some of the Purdue guys could put on a special talk that they had done earlier, and they put on that special talk for for some of their youth kids. Yeah. So that's how it came about.
I heard that one of those kids made a salvation decision.
Yeah, because of the Case for Resurrection talk. Yeah,
exactly.
It kind of like solidified his faith. Like
yeah.
Wow, that's
it was like that morning he had decided, you know what, I think God is real.
Yeah.
And then that evening he was like, I think Jesus rose from the dead.
Wow.
And then I think and that's how he became Christian. But I think as I saw that, I think now I really see Agape and Marie and see their heart, and I'm really challenged by it. But I think at the time I was like, oh, this goes against the picture I had of this trip. Like, how come now I have to and I think they had asked me to run. So there was the older kids, they were going to have the apologetics program, and then the younger kids, they'll do something else. They'll do like a fun thing. We'll do like games with them or something. And and part of my heart just kind of rebelled against that. Like, oh, come on. Like I had this picture of this trip, and now it's getting disrupted because of this last minute, program I need to put on. And I don't want to think about that. I don't want to I think it's partially the control freak thing. And then it's partially, I think I'm realizing more about myself that, I think my heart is just kind of small. I kind of want to just I just want everything to be tidy, but like, if that's how I want my life to be, then I can't actually love anybody. I won't actually have space for other people to come into my life. So I got to realize that about myself during that trip, because I responded as I responded in that way to this situation that came about. I think that's something I'm learning about ministry. Ministry involves people. It's about loving people. And my tendency to want things to remain tidy, it goes directly against God's command for me to love.
It's people who are really into efficiency and things working as planned, like being able to plan something out. Like often they'll have a hard time with ministry, right? So it's ironic because we do a lot of planning in our ministry. We do a lot of work like on Google Docs, but we're also like change things like really fast, or we cancel entire things and we just change on a dime. And And yeah, so anyways, it's kind of interesting, right? So I'm sure you're always convicted about those messages where we talk about how Jesus is very interruptible and, you know, like there he is gonna go heal Jairus' daughter, but then the bleeding woman interrupts them for so long, in fact, that Jairus' daughter dies. You know, and then Jairus is like, what the heck? I'm like, dude, he was on the way, you know, and then Jesus like, chill out, you know, and then goes and heals the daughter still. And yeah, so like we see pictures of Jesus, how like he's so interruptible and he just responded to the person in front of him, and it's really challenging. Yeah. And so what you were sharing, Genji, reminded me of, you know, so I was an IEOR major in college, industrial engineering operations research. So essentially it's all of the where the field came from is how to optimize factory operations. Okay. And it's broader than that, but that's one way to think about it. It's like, how do you get something from idea to the store in the most efficient way possible with lowering costs, maximizing profits. So that's how I was trained for 5 years, you know, including the master's degree that I got in it. I remember this one time we were having a meeting of, you know, the full-time leads at our church, and Pastor Ed, we were talking about something, but he just said this very specific thing that I remember. He said, you know, if you treat ministry like you're running a factory, and you try to make everything efficient and operationally like efficient, then you're not doing ministry. That's not what ministry should look like. And I remember being like, but that's literally how I was. That's literally all I studied in college. No, but it was just memorable to me. I mean, I didn't take it personally or anything, right? But like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I have this tendency to want things to just run smoothly, efficiently, go according to plan. But no, that's not what ministry is about. Ministry is essentially about the person in front of you, right? And you should be, and yeah. So yeah, I resonate a lot with what you're sharing. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing. Yeah, just part of my motivation for this is just to demonstrate that, you know, just through life, ministry, different things that are going on, God's continuing to work on us, and there's things that we need to work through as staff. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys just sharing a little bit of how God's speaking to you this past year. So, do you guys have any questions for me? Just about anything we talked about or anything that comes to mind.
When do you feel like for you, like ministry became more joyful?
When did ministry become joyful?
Like, was there particular people like that you were ministering to, or just a story?
Yeah. So I think God has shown me different things about ministry over the years through different phases. If I just take your question literally and about the joy of ministry, I think the time I experienced that the most was actually when I was ministering to the class of 2019 back in Berkeley. You know, Kat and I, it was our first time leading our own home group. So this is around like 2017 to 2019. Sophomore through senior year of, you know, Genji's class, although Genji was in a different home group. But and interestingly, like when I think about why that time was joyful, I think it's because I actually gave all of myself for the first time. And interestingly, it was actually during a time where most of my life was not joyful, because it was a time in my life. It was actually after we got married. But long story short, you know, I had some conflict with my parents at the time, and because of certain convictions that I had that weren't aligning with their expectations, the conflict escalated to a point where I wasn't really able to have a relationship with them for a couple of years. And so it was a pretty rough time in my life, just personally. And I was just emotionally not doing well. I remember having long emo prayer walks after work as I'm walking back to the ferry station in SF, and just praying and like asking God why it's so hard to, you know, like why did my parents have to disagree with me about how I'm trying to live my life for the Lord? And, you know, just you know, I was kind of self-pitying and things like that. But I think interestingly what that time did for me though was because I was struggling. I threw myself into ministry during that time. I think I tried really hard with the class of 2019, that home group, leading it, you know, everything from leading midweek prayer meetings, leading our own staff meetings for the first time, leading Friday night Bible studies with them, discipling them, going through discipleship courses, working with them on their testimonies so they could get baptized, taking them on trips, taking them on prayer retreats. So I think we were like really busy. But I think I experienced just not holding back, just saying, you know what? And then through that, what happened was that people got saved. And I think that's where the joy came, right? I saw people saved. I saw people who were Christian, but were sort of living kind of, slightly compromised lives, like repent and turn towards God. Like I experienced the Holy Spirit really working in people because it was like beyond this experience of people are doing things not because I told them to, but because like in the context of our home group, they're reading God's word, they're praying, and they're just being convicted of stuff. And so then they're making decisions that I'm like, are you sure about that? Because why are you doing that? Like, right. And like, oh, because I feel convicted to, like, whoa, and so then just experiencing God work in that way, it made me realize just experientially, oh my gosh, like God is real. The Holy Spirit is real. Like Jesus is working in people's lives, and I get to be a part of that. And so then I think because I didn't hold anything back, I think I was filled with joy during that time, and it showed me what life can be like. And I think that was really a crucial time for me. Before I went full time, basically, right? And I think if I didn't have that kind of period of struggle and giving everything that I had, maybe I wouldn't have gone full time. I don't know. Yeah, but I think that period really prepared me for. It was about a 3-year period. So, yeah. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I have a question. So I shared before about how, I find that my tendency is often just to want my life to be a certain way, and I want it to be clean and tidy but God calls us to love, right? God calls us to love people. But I'm wondering, is there anything, I guess, do you have any advice for me? Like as someone who struggles with that and wants to be someone who has room for people and loves people. But what are some, or like, do you have any tips for me, or do you have any stories of things that you've done that has, sort of grown your heart for people?
So just so I understand the question is how do you grow in your heart, or is it about the desire to control? Or I guess it's both. But
I guess both. But how can I continue to fight? Like, what are some ways in which I can continue to regularly fight that tendency in me to want to just keep my life small and tidy? Yeah.
I think essentially how that came about for me is that I just said yes to everything that came my way. Yeah. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know if that's healthy, but I knew that it was an issue for me. I knew that I'm also a control freak, and I just like, I have all sorts of reasons not to do things that come my way, like, and not to burden myself additionally, because it wouldn't be optimal, right? And so I think so whether it's big things like training opportunities to like grow and teach or be part, so like when the full-time leads in training opportunity came, like saying yes to that was just part of my posture and attitude of like, whatever comes my way, I'm going to say yes. And if people say, no, actually you don't qualify for this, that's fine. But like, I just want to say yes. But all the way down to like, just if personally, like a friend asks for help on something, or, like, hey guys, we need some help, like, building IKEA stools or whatever it is, right? Something random like that. Or, hey guys, or to like bigger things like, hey, this weekend we need people to go to JP or whatever. And it's like, so whatever it is, like, I think I just tried to say yes to it. And then that gave me plenty of opportunities to struggle with my internal desire to say no. Yeah. So that's probably one thing. Again, I don't know if that's healthy or not, actually. Anyways, you're just asking me what I did. So that's what I did. It turned out okay for me. Yeah. And then there's wisdom in being able to say no to certain things, of course, right? Of course. So, I don't want to wholesale say that that's just like a good way of operating. But if that is a struggle that you're trying to work through, yeah, man, just saying yes. Oh, yeah, you should say yes to whatever your wife asks you to do.
Yes.
Even Monopoly Deal.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, of course.
Play.
You have to play games with me.
You have to play games.
You have to say yes.
Oh my.
Oh, and it's
Don't
on
abuse.
air. And
Don't
it's
abuse.
recorded.
Oh,
Oh my. This is great. Thank you, DP.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Genji looks really pained right now. he's like doubled over. Like, oh no. Anyways, all right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for coming on. And I don't know, how was it? Was it?
It was good.
Okay? It was fun?
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we should do more office hours with you guys.
Oh yeah. 2019, 2018, the middle class right now is sort of the neglected couples right now in our ministry.
Is that true?
It is, because we actually meet with all the older couples every
You do?
week. Every week.
It's the
And
middle
and then
child
I
syndrome.
meet with the singles for Course 301.
Oh, yeah.
What the heck?
The middle children are being I'm sorry.
We're gonna be weird and act out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know office hours are overdue with the staff right now. So this is sort of your pseudo office hours, and we can just get
recorded.
2 for 1.
know.
I'm being efficient. Oh, this is not good. This is what Pastor has said not to do. Oh man, it's just deep within me. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation. Genji and Hyuna.
Yes.
Who should we have on next?
The U's.
The U's.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right. We'll try to make that happen. Here we go. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Hopefully, you're enjoying these conversations with the couples and learning some stuff. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.